Hi, Phil. Hello.
So I
Good. How are you today?
all good, all good. Delighted to be on here.
Brilliant. No, thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I find it so helpful hearing other people's stories. And I get so many messages from other people saying how beneficial it is. So I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this.
Thanks for having me. I'm delighted. Yeah, it was great. And thanks for all the stuff you're putting out there as well. So
No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. Phil, tell me a bit about you. Tell me, where are you in the world? What do you do? Tell me a bit about you.
yeah, so I'm based in Cork in Ireland and I'm married. We have a kid, 3.5-year old, so he's keeping us pretty busy at the moment. So yeah, we have a family business. We we were in the veterinary kind of game and we're out of that and we're now running a gift shop here in Bandon in Cork.
Nice, nice. No, well, I know we've kind of crossed paths in the past. I think we might have had a bit of a quick session through Otto, maybe. Is it?
That's right. Yeah, you were a great help that time. It would have been maybe a couple of years ago now, and I had access to one coaching session, and it was you, and we had a great chat. So it was great to have that service.
It's a pleasure. I remember it vividly as well because of your coaching background as well. But we can talk more about what you're doing now as well as we go on. But Phil, take me back to the early days. So when did tinnitus all start for you? What was that like?
Yeah, so in 2009, I was traveling with friends in South America. We did a few of these overnight bus journeys to go to different places. One of them, anyway, I took a sleeping tablet and I had my earphones in and I woke up deaf in my left ear. And um, I'm still not 100% sure how I went deaf, but it was probably to do with maybe the noise was too loud and I slept through it. I was thinking, was it reaction to the sleeping tablet? I was also not feeling great, so was it a virus? It's all these things that I wasn't sure of. I wasn't aware of you know, getting medical attention straight away when you have sudden hearing loss. And I kind of brushed it off as, you know, just whatever, build up a wax or something. And I did go to the doctor a few days later, but it was too late to get my hearing back, to get the steroids to work. So that was my hearing loss, gained tinnitus as a result, but that really didn't bother me at that time because, I think I was more concerned with my hearing loss and also I was still traveling South America. So there was a lot of good things happening around me. I moved to Canada. So there's all these new things happening. So it never bothered me until 2 years later when I went through a stressful event and developed anxiety. And it really, really came out of its box then. And it was very scary. So really debilitating. Couldn't think of anything else but the noise. It just felt so intrusive, and I got really, really down and depressed from it. But gradually, I think I was in a good environment. I happened to be living at home with my mum and dad. They were incredibly supportive at the time, and I was playing a lot of sport as well, and we were doing well in it, our team that we were in, and I had consistent training, and I was eating well, and I gave up caffeine and all these things. And I was talking to someone as well. And after about 6 or 7 months, I eventually habituated to it, um, which was an amazing feeling, really. For about 12 or 13 years after that, then I lived, completely normal life. The noise was still there. Um, but it was totally in the background. Didn't bother me in any way. Until the end of 2023, we had a lot going on in our family business, and I found that to be a really, really stressful time, and um, end up ended up with burnout as a result. Then a few weeks later, the onset of tinnitus came, back with a bang. So I I was really disappointed with that because I thought I was over it, and I thought, "Oh, I've sorted tinnitus. That's done. You know, I won't ever feel that negative emotional reaction to it again." But it was just as bad as the start, certainly just as bad as the first episode, and it just took over. I couldn't sleep. As a result, then no sleeping and made me more anxious the following day. It just took over my life really. It was really debilitating. And I think, where I am now, that was 2 years ago. And I would say I'm not fully habituated yet, but I'm 99% there. I know I'm not fully habituated because I wasn't like those 12 or 13 years. But I think the reason it took longer this time is because there was a lot more stressors involved over the last couple of years, So my mum passed away towards the end of 2024, so that really set things back as well, and you had the stuff with the business and all that. So it there's been external stuff that has kept me from habituating quicker, I feel. But last year I decided to do an 8-week mindfulness course, which I found to be really, really helpful. Really changed my reaction towards the sound and learned to accept it better by doing these body based exercises, such as the body scan meditation. Found that to be incredibly helpful. And yeah, all of it took time, but you know, after that, then I actually became a facilitator. And I was doing it to nearly prolong the mindfulness practice for myself, with an idea of helping people, but it was more actually for me, to do more of that formal practice. So I really found mindfulness to be excellent in learning to accept the noise. So that's kind of my story.
Philip, thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm so, so sorry to hear about your mum. Um,
Thanks, Gladys. Yeah, thank
Really
you.
sorry. You've obviously had quite a journey with tinnitus, and um, from what you've said, when you first got tinnitus, you were able to habituate, and I'd really like you to just maybe explain what habituation means to you then, because I know a lot of listeners, a lot of followers always say, "I hear about habituation, but I don't actually know what it is." What does it mean to you, and what did it mean to you back then when you habituated?
Yeah, so for me, habituation is your brain, your nervous system just getting so used to the sound that it just goes into the background. When someone asks you about it, say, if someone asks me, do I still have tinnitus or did I still have tinnitus? I'd say, yeah, if I tune into it, I can hear it. So it's a really hard thing to believe for someone who is going through, who are for the people that are in the depths of despair with tinnitus, all they can think about is the sound in their head when it's really at the forefront. You're kind of thinking, how does this happen? You can't just put it into the background because it's right there. But your brain is just a powerful thing. Your nervous system is a powerful thing, and we are able to train it, and we're able to rewire it, and we are able to just tune it out. Like um, I think I read someone said it was kind of like your nose, which is right in front of your face, but you don't see it, 99% of the time. So that's kind of what habituation is like. It's very, very real for anyone who is doubting it. It's incredibly real. Like in the 12 or 13 years that I was habituated to it, I would have heard, you know, um, or read little things on the news or whatever about trying to find a cure for tinnitus. I didn't care, if they did or not. That's how much I was habituated to it. It didn't bother me whether there was a cure or not. So for me, it is a cure, but I know the sound is still there. But for me, it 100% is a cure. You can live a great life while being habituated to it.
I think that's such a powerful message because you're so right. The concept of habituation when you're in the depths of it just doesn't even seem real. I guess what you're saying then is there's a separation between the sound itself and how it actually makes you feel. as well. And would you say in the 12, 13 years where you were fully habituated, it didn't make you feel distressed or worried, or just knowing that that sound was potentially still there?
No, it didn't at all. It definitely got like I could hear it at times, or maybe because everyone has stress, everyone goes through stresses, and people go out on a night out and they enjoy themselves with alcohol, or they might drink too much caffeine, or they mightn't exercise for a while. And I felt at those particular times, maybe my tinnitus got a bit louder. And it's a very, when you're habituated, you notice it, but it doesn't grate on your nervous system in any way. You just notice that it's a bit louder. And in a way, it's kind of like a little reminder. Yeah, you'd maybe a few too many last night, you had too many coffees, or you're tired, or you need to get moving, or it's your body's way of telling you that, maybe something's a bit off. That's the way I kind of saw it. But even if it was loud, it didn't grate on me in any way. So that's, you quickly as well, if you do hear it, you quickly move on to something else. So it's an amazing thing. Amazing.
Really is. And Philip, you described it as, seeing it as a cure, especially knowing what you'd experienced before. So when things changed sort of 2 years ago for you, or 2.5 years ago for you, what was it that made you realize that this is now an issue?
Yeah, like so anxiety preceded it. So I was I really, it was burnout regarding the business stuff. Um because we had a big decision to make about kind of carrying on a certain part of the business, and that came down to kind of the stressors of leaving people go and everything. And my mind was trying to work out, the best possible thing for everybody and for us, and it was in constant analysis mode, and it just led to that burnout, which led to me feeling really, really anxious. Proper anxiety, not, oh, I'm a bit anxious about doing this podcast. It's more about proper anxiety, clinical, like, and that was happening for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then this really erupted back. At that time when it came back, I was in a bit of, oh no, like, this is really bothering me. This shouldn't happen, and it was very hard to. Uh, it was like as if it came out of its box and I couldn't get it back in. So it was really devastating in a way, because I thought maybe, oh, it'll calm down after a day or two, and it just didn't. So it was clear that my nervous system was dysregulated, and I had to do a lot of work on that. I had to really get back to baseline, and it was, it's a way of telling me that I am dysregulated too, the tinnitus is. Would I prefer not to have that alarm going off? Absolutely. But, to look at a positive of it is telling you that there's something up.
Thank you for sharing that. Are you happy to share what you did to kind of go back to basics? I know you mentioned the mindfulness course. Was there anything else that you did to try and help you?
Yeah. There's lots, and I think, um, there's so many things to be done with it. And I just give you a quick story about, I had a great GP growing up, and he retired, and in came this other GP who I wasn't too sure of. But when I had the issue, the latest bout of, tinnitus spikes, I went to him about, different things, and I told him about my tinnitus, and he just looked in my ear and said, that's just wax. And he said, olive oil will do that. And I was like, he was so nearly arrogant about it that I couldn't be bothered arguing with him. I just went, okay, great, yeah. But so like, and it's as well for people to tell people that there's nothing that can be done about it. There's so much that can be done. The little things that I did were, go on Otto, things like that. There's a lot of apps that you can use. I found Otto really good. I was able to talk to you. I was able to connect with Karis as well. I was looking up YouTube videos of success stories, and I found those to be really, really helpful. Like there was other things like the mindfulness thing was a bit of a game changer for me in the sense of practicing body based awareness and really drilling that into my daily routine because I was in my head quite a lot and I was just trying to incorporate meditation into my day 10 to 20 minutes. That's it. And then as I was doing that, I was able to be more mindful throughout the day and more self aware um, for even things like if I was spiraling with my thoughts. I was able to catch myself spiraling with my thoughts as time went on. That took a while to bed in though, because it just takes practice to build up your mindfulness muscle. It's like kind of going to the gym, and you're not going to just do a marathon after one run. Sport, exercise in general, I found to be really, really helpful. I wasn't really a jogger, but I took up that back in 2011 when I first had it. I was playing in a hockey team, so that was good. I was kind of drilled into that. But lately, I wasn't doing enough physical exercise. I took up jogging. I found that to be really, really helpful. Eating well as well. I'm personally sensitive to caffeine. Not everyone is, but I had to give up that. Also, really watch my blood sugars. So I felt after any kind of sugary snack or, anything like that, I found the tinnitus got louder. The perception of it was, louder. So, but I think to do all that, I had to be self-aware enough to make those calls. And I think mindfulness has helped me with that. Anything else? No, in general, it was just not getting sucked into the forums or um all that kind of stuff, but just yeah, living a good life, living a healthy life, and just looking after myself. Really.
No, thank you. That's a lot of things that you did to try and help yourself, really. A lot of
Yeah,
things that you did. And I can imagine, when we feel so desperate, we want to do whatever we can to help ourselves. But what's really interesting from what you've said, Philip, a lot of it is around health, well-being, managing your mind, managing the way you were thinking, the overthinking, and trying to get on top of that, using mindfulness to help yourself really overcome tinnitus. And a lot of people that are new to tinnitus find that conceptually hard to understand because it's a sound that they're hearing. So sometimes they think that they need a device or something to help them through it. Did you ever use any sound therapy, any sound generators, or anything like that to help support you?
I did, but not religiously. I definitely found them really, really helpful at times. At night time in particular, if I was going to sleep, I'd put them on my, the headphone. I don't put anything in my ears anymore regarding, sound stuff, but the the ones that sit on top of your head. And I used a bit there, but yeah, and I had to find my right sound as well. I found, pink noise was good for me. There's different noises for everybody, but I really found it, listening to music. I listen to music. So, and I found that to be kind of like sound therapy in that it's, masking at some bit. So, but really, really helpful when you're you know, really in a bad place with it, I found. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely recommend it.
Thank you for sharing what helped you there. And I think it's really important what you said there, that music can also be a form of sound therapy. It doesn't just need to be like the colored noises. It can also be music or podcasts, audiobooks, that sort of thing. Just having another sound to listen to can be useful for some.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gladys, yeah, as well, just you reminded me of something there, but with music as well, it's something, if you enjoy music, it's the enjoyment of music as well. And I remember our chat, you know, a couple of years ago and I remember you brought up the whole thing of being able to kind of have fun and get back your life, as opposed to being dominated and directed by tinnitus. Because I know I mentioned, looking at tinnitus videos and success stories and all that, and that was great, but I got a bit obsessed with that as well. So it was kind of just, they're very useful to look at and walk away from and take it in. But living your life normally is a really, really massive part of healing. And it's really hard thing to get your head around when you are suffering with it. But um, the most normal things you can do are great. Getting routine in and carrying on meeting your friends. If you have to put in earplugs, that's fine. But just making sure that you're connecting with people and you're still enjoying life, because it can take over and months can go by without you doing any of that. And then you're just in the loop, and it's very hard to get out of that loop. And that's what happened. It definitely happened to me. It's when I started living normally again, while doing all the other things. I think that was the last piece of the puzzle. It was kind of getting back into my normal life and not allowing it dictate what I do. So
No, thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm presuming things like mindfulness, being more self-aware of, what are your triggers and what are your limits, had helped you get to a stage where you could start to live normally again and not let tinnitus dictate your life.
yeah, definitely. Like my lifestyle has changed, but definitely for the better. It's like I'm not, for a while it was for the worse because I was just kind of insular and I wasn't meeting anyone and all that. But I'm definitely a lot more conscious of my health and well being, and while still being able to meet my friends and have a laugh and go places with them, and like I'm just it has helped, yeah, an awful lot in kind of reaching that point. Because probably before I was, it would have been too much in my head. I wasn't exercising enough, or I wasn't eating well enough, or, I might have been drinking too much caffeine, or just all these things. But you can still be yourself and enjoy life. And so, yeah, it's been a real turnaround.
Wow. And I like what you said there. I said it to somebody earlier today as well. These are things that, yes, we develop because we've got tinnitus, or some of us have developed these skills because we've got tinnitus, but actually it's about changing your lifestyle so they can help you with other areas in your life as well. And it just being a part of who you are now to be able to be mindful on a day to day basis.
Yeah, definitely. It's helped an awful lot in other areas because I was always, you know, I would have been anxious probably, always growing up and all that as well. And it's definitely made me slow down. Like even that whole concept of slowing down. Like I used to do things like brush my teeth as quickly as I could, for no reason. I wasn't in a hurry. There was nowhere to get to. If I was going from work to uptown or whatever, I'd be walking as fast as I can. It's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. I don't know why, but so I've really improved that whole area of just slowing down because I don't need to. I'm not in a rush. And that's all in your mind, like that you have to kind of do things as quickly as possible. You have to multitask. You have to um work things out. In mindfulness, in the breathworks course that I did, um, they teach this thing about the doing mode of mind and the being mode of mind. For a lot of the time, we're way too much in the doing mode of mind where we're constantly analyzing, we're trying to figure stuff out. The hamster wheel is going all the time. Whereas with mindfulness, you're trying to, the doing mode of mind is important. It's obviously very important, but we're just in that mode of mind too much. And the being mode of mind is that place where you're slowing down, you're present, you're sensing your body, you're sensing where you are, you're not trying to work things out, you're observing, you're noticing, you're responding without reacting. all those things. I just thought it was an interesting thing that we worked on, and I could really relate to it. Because my mind lived at 100 miles an hour for so long. It's no wonder that I got burnout. So, but like, regarding mindfulness and all that, and coming out of tinnitus, coming out of the other side of it and practically habituated for the second time, it's a great feeling. And I kind of want to stay in this mode now, forevermore. I obviously didn't learn my lesson after the first time, but, that's just the way it is. But, uh, yeah, that's all really.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think you've described mindfulness beautifully because a lot of people hear about it. A lot of people think it's just meditation, right? But it's so much more. I mean, so much more than that. And I think you've really described it well. So thank you for that.
Yeah, like I know like it's a lot of people's, might roll their eyes at mindfulness, the word even, and they may they may not have actually have fully practiced it. So it's all a bit maybe woo woo at the moment, but like it's such a valuable tool to have at our resort. It's there for us to use. It's free. It's up to us to use it. So yeah, no, it's a really, really great tool.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And if we just looked back a little bit when this started again for you, so maybe 2.5 years ago or back to the beginning, did you? I think you talked about the GP, the experience that you had with the GP, but was there anything from a diagnostic point of view that you did? Did you get referred to ENT after that? What happened
I
there?
did, yeah, I did after the first time, um, and yeah, it was sudden sensory hearing loss. And I got the MRI scan for the benign tumor, which wasn't there either. So, everything was kind of done then. I didn't feel the need to do that this time because I knew it was just my nervous system that was dysregulated. So, yeah, like I had a brilliant experience the first time with my GP, my old GP, and but just with the GP after that, I have a great GP now again, but the GP after my first one, it was just, very, I thought, ignorant. Just didn't really know, but he pretended to know. And I just pretended to agree with him and just go along with it because, what can you do?
I mean, he said that there was wax in your ear. Did you think that there was wax in your ear at that point or no?
Well, like my ENT years ago said it's a good thing having wax in your ear. So I'm not sure, is that still relevant, true, or that was 2011? But
We should have a little bit of wax in our ears, but nothing completely blocking our ears or blocking the sound from traveling through. But it's normal to have some wax in.
yeah, so um, he told me there was wax in my ear and just olive oil will cure it. And he is kind of almost laughing, as in, that's all it is. So I'd say the lack of knowledge about tinnitus out there with GPs, and it's very real, but yeah, no, I have a great GP now who's very understanding.
And I guess the second time round, maybe you knew more about it, you had the evidence that you habituated. So would that have been thankfully you didn't have that second GP the first time round?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was great. I had a really good GP. He was really understanding. He knew about it. Was that generation, the older generation who would be dealing more with tinnitus, and he was able to really help. Yeah, I kind of knew myself anyway because it was anxiety related just as well, as you say.
Did they ever refer you to like CBT or anything within the hospital with um
No, but my latest GP has done, yeah, just as in, general, which I was getting at the time anyway. So I found that to be, with Otto as well and the CBT therapy that I never mentioned that. I'm sorry. I found my counselor to be really good. that way. And there was different tools as well to use, and I worked with her um, over a number of months, maybe 4 or 5 months on it. Yeah. But I do find that maybe it's the way mindfulness was taught in breathworks. There's definitely an overlap of modules or whatever. So there was a lot about diffusing thoughts and acceptance. I know acceptance and commitment therapy is a different thing, but you know, I felt there was an overlap too. I think they're all kind of similar enough.
Definitely. They kind of complement each other, and there is that overlap as well there. You're so right.
Yeah.
You're so right. I mean, looking back, what do you wish you had known in the first few weeks or months of having tinnitus? Is there anything that you wish you would have known?
In at the first time it happened,
Yeah,
anything I wish I knew. Like, I suppose it's just reinforcing that, you can't, like that belief that you will get better. Because that that was tough to believe that. But yeah, I think also just the fact the nervous system plays a huge part in your healing, and knowing about trying to tools to regulate that and putting in daily micro habits to support your nervous system and to get it back to baseline. And just knowing that you can live a really good life with it, and it does fade away into the background. But I do understand too, though, when you're in that position, it's easier said than done to believe that at that moment in time. But I suppose all we can do is put that out there, and all other people can do. And it's great when people go through it and they put up a success story on YouTube, and they, tell the world how they've gotten over it. Because more people need to do that. And you don't see those people on the forums, because the forums are full of the negativity that can really set you back then, I think. So yeah, I think just knowing that it's knowing that you have to regulate your nervous system, and knowing you have to, there's a lot you can do. There's so much you can do, and there's so much within your power to gradually get better with this, to gradually get used to the sound. Because I think that would really give someone a journey map, of, okay, this takes time. I know it takes time, but here's what I'm going to do about it. And it's going to inch me closer and closer every day towards that goal.
that's
So
crucial. Crucial. But you're right there. What comes to mind is a lot of people feel powerless when they have tinnitus.
yeah,
Loss of control and feeling like there's nothing I can do. But actually, we need to think about, what can I do here? What can I do that inches me closer to that goal that I'm looking for? And like you say, I completely agree. There's a lot that we can do within our power to help with this. So yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you.
yeah, like, so the second on my latest bout with tinnitus, I was so in awe of the people who had put out those videos, or people who have helped. And I was like, I really want to do the same. And because it makes a huge difference to give that bit of hope to people. It makes such a difference to your mindset, I feel. And I actually do have a coaching background. I'm a qualified coach and emotional intelligence practitioner. And I was doing a small bit of executive coaching a few years ago, up until all this stuff hit the fan. And I just wanted to get back into coaching. And I felt that this was more purposeful for me, to get into. So using my coaching background, and also adding the mindfulness facilitator and stuff to it, and just having gone through it twice, pretty much, I feel like I do have something to offer people who are struggling with it. So yeah, I came up with Tune Out Tinnitus about a year and a bit ago, primarily as just an Instagram page, just put a few thoughts out there, and then just got me thinking, and decided to give it a go. And I've been kind of working with a couple of people around the world at the moment, and um, it's very rewarding to hear, that they're responding to my support. And if you feel that you are making a difference, it's a great feeling, because you and I know how it feels to be in their position. And um, I think, yeah, I think it's just a, a, a passion of mine now, and it has a lot of purpose for me as well.
Incredible, incredible. And thank you so much for what you're doing for the tinnitus community because, we hear a lot about people saying that they struggle to find someone to help support them. And sometimes when they do, it's somebody that just doesn't quite get it or doesn't quite understand. And you've got that really, you've got that lived experience plus all the skills that you've developed along the way. So, I really, really admire you for saying, what, even though I've gone through this, I want to help other people who are going through this. It's not easy. Like you say, actually, funnily enough, a lot of people say to me when they feel better, I never want to Google tinnitus again. I never want to go on those forums. I just want to pretend that that part of my life just didn't exist.
Oh, yeah. Well, eh, like, someone said to me, working with a couple of people. One of them said, "How are you? I don't want to, bring you down into this tinnitus path again." And I'm totally fine with it now. It's totally, because I'm pretty much habituated again. It's like it's easy to talk about it again. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, wow, it's incredible. And if anyone wanted to find you or find out more about Tune Out Tinnitus, how can they do that?
yeah. So my website is www.tuneouttinnitus.com, and my Instagram page is at tuneouttinnitus. So you can reach me there. Yeah,
Brilliant. I'll put all the details in the show notes.
great.
Is there anything else that I haven't asked you? I've got one final question which I'll get to, but is there anything else that I haven't asked that you wanted to bring up or that you wanted to mention?
No, just that, if you are listening to this and you're really hopeless about it, there's, as we mentioned earlier, there's so much you can do, and that habituation is a very, very real thing, and you can reach it. You can live a totally normal life with tinnitus, and if you just, do everything you can to support your nervous system, and you can live a great life again. So it's very hard to believe in the position that you might be in, but there's so much that can be done.
And Philip, that was my last question. What would you say to somebody who's in the thick of it? So I will
Will I
not
repeat it?
I will not Peter, because you that was brilliant. No, thank you so much. Even things like this, just being able to laugh. I know when you get tinnitus for the first time, you think, am I ever going to laugh again? Am I ever going to feel like this is going to get better or that, that there's hope? And
Yeah, I know. And look, that's exactly the position I was in as well. And also, I just want to really thank, my wife as well, and other people around me who have been, like my brother. They've been incredibly supportive. So they've really kind of picked up the slack for when I was really struggling. So the people around you as well, to make them aware as well of how difficult it can be, but your support network is fantastic as well. But regarding laughing, yeah, I did think that. I was like, no way, I'd never. How can you? But this sound is so loud, it's not going to go away. But I still had the sound still here. I just tuned into it there, and it doesn't bother me. So, you will laugh again.
you will. You will for
Yeah,
sure. You will.
yeah.
Well, Philip, this has been a great conversation. I really, really appreciate your time and your openness and your vulnerability. So thank you so, so much.
Thanks a million, Gladys. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure.